it's a weird scenario when you think that's the end. But we got helicoptered out, and then you kind of find out that two of your mates have died, and in that same vehicle. I had like a week in Camp Bastion, settling down, like simmering down, and then it was like, right, cool, back you go. But when I went to a therapist and spoke about it, and she's just like, it's just, you can't suppress everything all the time. But as a youngster, particularly, I mean, I was 21 at the time, so as a young soldier, you don't want to be that person that's, oh, I can't do this. I don't feel like I'm up to it, whatever it is. It's almost like, right, bottle everything up. Let's just make sure that we are still seen as a good soldier, still seen that we're doing our job, doing everything that we need to do, help the team out, that kind of stuff. And I'll process it later.
Gaz McNamara, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I thought we would start by me asking, what's the journey that you've been on that's brought you to where you are and what you do?
It's a random journey, very random journey. So, I suppose where I am currently is I run the RedOn group, which is coaching, socks, performance centre. I also have a rehab business, which is Plug-In Rehab, but kind of rewinding back from that. I guess my journey started in the military. So I served for 15 years in the British Army. I started from doing bomb disposal all the way through to being a physical training instructor. So quite like vast and varied approach to, I guess, fitness in general. I've been in the fitness industry now for 15, going on 16 years, which makes me feel very old, particularly when I'm seeing like new coaches come through, which is good. But yeah, I've been kind of 10 years of that was within the military. So helping prepare soldiers for operations, recruits into normal training, people for arduous courses, moved into like the top echelons of the military kind of branch of strength and conditioning. So the Royal Army Physical Training Corps, where I specialised in being an exercise rehabilitation instructor, which kind of led me down this path of rehabilitating injured soldiers back to frontline fitness, whether that was amputees, people have rolled their ankles, it didn't really matter. But the basis of my rehabilitation and all my physical training, knowledge and coaching experience came from like strength and conditioning. Left the military 4 years ago now, which seems like a long time ago. But yeah, left the military 4 years ago and have been on this journey of trying to breach the gap between the medical industry, professional coaching and elite sport, and trying to bring it under one umbrella. I think when I was looking from the outside in, the military do it really, really well. So they've always had like strength and conditioning coaches, rehabilitation instructors. We work with professional athletes and we all work together. It was a very seamless process of getting someone from A to B. Whereas I was looking at the fitness industry on the outside and it seems to be very fractured. And I think we can all see that on Instagram of people calling people out, going, he doesn't know what he's doing, or that coach is terrible, or whatever it may be. And we're trying to think of ways to bring everything together. So we created the RedOn group, which is very much around elite performance, but also with the plug-in rehab aspect of it was I wanted to make sure that coaches had medical professionals that could embed as part of their team so that actually we could provide an elite sport capability for any athlete. And we always term people athletes anyway, because I don't care if you're I want to go and walk 5K. You're trying to better yourself. So you are in the athletic population. So yeah, we're just trying to build that really. So the last 4 years has been building my own business, doing like we were just chatting before, content creation, that kind of stuff as well, which is fairly new to me, but I've been quite enjoying it. And yeah, just trying to make a bit of a foothold in the fitness industry, in the big wide world, I guess. I mean, we were always, probably going down a bit of a rabbit hole, but we're always very well sought after in the military because the guys and girls that we work with at RedOn Group are, top level of military fitness and, spearheading that kind of focus. So when we took ourselves out of that, it was a new world of going, shit, what goes on the outside world? Because it's very enclosed in it. So yeah, we've been trying to figure our ways out in the normal world, mate, I guess.
How old were you when you joined the army, the British Army, right?
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
16.
So I joined at 16 and left at 31. It was literally all I knew. And I look at 16-year-olds now. I'm like, you are so young, mate. What are you doing? And we were joining the military at that age. You were a child at the time. I didn't feel like a child, but yeah, it was so young, mate.
And where was your first deployment?
So I deployed to Iraq on my 18th birthday. I literally sat in Kuwait waiting to turn 18 because you weren't allowed to go to operations until you were 18. So yeah, waited and then flew in on my 18th birthday and went to Iraq for 6 months, which my mum wasn't happy about, but it was one of them things. Yeah, it's a weird thing though, because you join to do a job, right? You join because you want to go. It sounds mad. You want to go to war. You want to go and see what it's like and experience it because you've trained for it. But it still doesn't feel real when you were there. So like sat in Kuwait on the border of Iraq, waiting for like, cool, you're 18, get on that flight, you can now go to Iraq. That was my first experience, I guess, of operations, which was quite cool and you know, shaped me to where I am today. But also looking back, he's so young to be going and doing stuff that, you know, probably youngsters shouldn't really do at that age.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you're the same age. Are you 36?
Yeah, I am, mate.
Yeah, we're the same age. So, I think my 18th birthday was very different. I have like black and white hair with a big fringe, just getting like pissed out my head.
Yeah, I wish I was doing at the time.
Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? How like and then you end up going on these paths and sort of like changing throughout your life. I wondered what you mentioned that obviously the military shapes to a huge extent the person you become.
Mm-hmm.
What does that person look like, and what's that process been like on your development?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you take us out. So I was from Scarborough. There's not a great deal to do in Scarborough. So we're like at school, everyone's messing about, you're doing the usual stuff, skipping school, all that kind of stuff. And then the reason I originally joined the army was because I kind of knew my GCSEs weren't going to be so good. I was like, I'm not going to do well on my GCSEs. So I'll tell my mum and my dad before the GCSEs happen that I'm going to join the military because it kind of gives me a get out clause. So I was like, I want to join the army anyway, so I don't need any GCSEs. And they're like, well, you know, it'd be nice if you could get some GCSEs. And I was like, yeah, but it's no pressure on me now. Joining the military, I think, first of all, was a massive shock because it's the level of discipline and all that kind of stuff that comes with it. There was me and my friend joined, and we went into basic training as the youngest people there, surrounded by 26, 27, 28-year-old men that I would like to think had their lives together, knew what they were doing. We were literally straight out of school. I'd never lived on my own before, never ironed anything in my life, you know, probably didn't wash properly, all these kind of little bits that you were just like, oh, I never even thought of that. What? My mum irons my clothes. That's mad. And now I need to go and iron my clothes. I just can't get my head around it. So I think from a shape in my personality point of view, provided me like discipline, a level of integrity that I needed, but also I grew up fairly quickly. I think you have to in that scenario. We were, you know, the youngest two people that had gone into basic training alongside men, what I would say. I'd say we were still kids at the time. And I think you have to grow up really quickly because you're still expected to do the exact same job. You're expected to be relied on. There's loads of little things that you have to do as a soldier, and it doesn't matter if you're 16 or 40. We're all expected to do a similar job of sorts. So I think it was more so a shock of capture of shit. I need to grow up fast and learn how these people live and what goes on with it. But I think if I'm looking at traits that I've carried through my military career and out on the other side that have stood me in good stead, it, you know, would be integrity. So making sure that I am honest with people all the time. It's sometimes having a hard conversation, discipline, and actually for me, routine. So routine plays a massive part in my life. And if you speak to my missus, she'll probably say, yeah, you can be a bit too routine at times. It's that structure of I know what I need to do. Like I'll get up at 5 every morning. I'll, go to the gym at least once every day. I'll do things in set patterns. And while that probably wouldn't work for a lot of people, for my mindset particularly, it kind of grounds me a little bit and I can carry that through, because going in at 16 and leaving at 30 and not really knowing what the actual outside world is, because I've not had a proper job, so to speak, when I was in there. It was, it's very much a difficult one to kind of process with that. So carrying some of these traits back into normal civilian life has helped me massively, mate.
Yeah, I always like say that like habits or routines are like the guardrails that like kind of just keep you like a little bit in line. And okay, you might fall off from time to time, but like and I've got this big thing around habits at the moment. I'm creating this community as well, and it's like nice. Something I thought of this week, actually. I was like, sometimes I sit down at my desk and I'm kind of like, when you just don't know what to work on. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of like, and then I literally, I did like a decision tree, and it's like, do I know what to work on? No. And it's like, just follow the fucking habits. Just because sometimes like, if you're just brain dead and you just can't like, and that's why they can be so important, just to like constantly doing the things. And yeah, the whole morning routine thing, like I probably optimize my morning routine somewhat because I can get carried away with it. And then there becomes like a coping mechanism where I'm like, oh, well, I can't possibly go to work without a cold plunge and a 10 minutes of meditation and whatever the fucking else that I throw in there.
It's a tough one, isn't it, with that? Because you kind of, like, I definitely don't have an optimized morning routine like you're saying, but I just know what kind of works for me. So getting out of bed, sitting downstairs on the sofa at 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock is kind of my peaceful time, because you know what it's like when, if you get into the middle of the day and you're starting messaging people, you'll get messages back and forth. I feel like I can almost get my messages done in the morning and no one's coming back to me for a while. So I get that level of, oh, you've had a good day so far. Like, we can now crack on with an actual day. I don't know how you feel, like what works for yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether, like, I don't know if it's like post-COVID or whatever's going on with society, but I feel like I've got more and more. Someone like once said to me, is like a bit of a joke, it's like, I feel like you've got more autistic. But I'm like, it's almost like those like extreme behaviors or kind of like set patterns kind of get exacerbated because maybe we have a little bit less community, life's a bit less free flowing, we're all siloed off into like our own little routines and stuff. And especially like I'm single, so I live on my own, so but then I'll do like things like, I had this thing where I was like, right, I don't turn on my phone until I get the most important task of the day done. And sometimes I wouldn't turn my phone until like 4 o'clock, but then I would piss a lot of people off. I'd be like, but look, I've done this fucking video. And it's like, I don't know, it's crazy that we have to do those things to actually, it's like we've never been more productive and more like disorganized all at the same time. That's how I feel anyways.
Oh, mate, 100%. And like you talk about, I feel like everyone's got a level of autism, right? At somewhere along the spectrum, which is absolutely fine. So if I took myself, obviously I've got quite a strict morning routine. 5 o'clock in the morning, I do an hour's worth of work. I feel like I'm ahead for the day. And that's been my routine for 2-3 years. We went to the HYROX World Champs in Chicago this year. And I was obviously waking up at lunchtime in the UK. So I would wake up with hundreds of WhatsApps. And my mind couldn't compute that I wasn't ahead for the day. So all of a sudden, my day was starting. It was almost like I was starting on the back foot. I was feeling really bad, overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Then when I actually redress it back, it's because I'd got such a routine, like lifestyle over here. The minute you took me out of it, I was like, oh shit, what is going on? I can't do this. So it was a really weird scenario where I was loving it in Chicago because it was such a good city. But the first 3-4 hours of my day, I was so overwhelmed. I could hardly speak to my missus because I was like, I have to just get myself back in line and go from there. So I guess it's amazing having a routine, but actually sometimes it can be a detriment to whatever you're trying to do elsewhere, because the minute you come out of it,
You want to be dynamic, don't you? And be able
100%.
to adapt. And that's why I try to sometimes stop the routines and then bring it back in.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the army. So why you do in bomb disposal, is that right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, do you go in and go like, I want to be the bomb guy, or do you, or is it like given to you? Like, how's that work?
Yeah. So you join, you do like some certain tests before you join, and you decide where in the army you want to kind of go and serve as you join. So you kind of go off to that corps or that regiment, and you do whatever training it is that's specific for that. You get opportunities in there sometimes that are opportunities that you go, oh, cool, I'll do that. And you get other opportunities where it's like, you are doing that, mate, no matter what. It's kind of jobs that just gets sent out. Our squadron at the time got tasked with becoming like a search squadron. So it was going on operations. We were tasked to like clear routes and make sure there was no IEDs, bombs on there, provide like explosive methods of entry to various different troops and all that kind of stuff. I just happened to be in that squadron at that time and be the correct rank and the person they were looking for to go away and be like a clearance operator, they called it. So if they found something, they would get one of us 4 operators out and we would blow it up, and then we could carry on moving like down the route. But yeah, it's a weird one in the military because someone's going to do it anyway. A lot of the time, the jobs no one wants to do, but someone's going to get selected for it. We had a great time like doing it. It was something completely different. At the time, probably didn't want to do it. Well, in fact, at the time, I definitely did want to do it. Looking back, I probably would have been thinking, actually, that's not the best job to be doing anyway. So I was speaking to my mum and my dad, and they're like, do you want to be doing that? I'm like, yeah, well, all the lads are doing it, so let's just go and do it together. I probably had some of the best years of my life doing it with some of the friends that I'll be friends for life with, which is amazing, and I'll look back at them with fond memories always. But yeah, it's not necessarily. I didn't put my hand up and go, is there a course I can go on where I search for bombs? It was more so like, right, your squadron is going to be in charge of search and clearance. You're at this rank, you're going to go and do the clearance operator course. So yeah, I suppose from my side, it wasn't really like a hand in the air, let's do it. It was more so, you're doing it, Gaz, go and get on it now.
And nice. I suppose like most people, when they'll hear like bomb disposal, they will think like in the movies and they're like clipping the wires. Okay. Was it like that, or we?
Not really, no, because if you're getting someone in, so I wouldn't have been the guy properly in the suit, but if you're getting someone in at that level, something's probably gone massively wrong. We used to, if we found something, we would blow it up rather than like risk someone's life to go down there and do that. So Hurt Locker, where he pulls up them 7 wires and like 7 bombs are facing at him, that's not going to happen. That's not real life. The Americans are obviously jazzing it up a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I always think that, like, because I've spoke to a few people in the military, and I'm always asking about the films. I'm like, oh, what do you think of this one? Nah. Do you know what I mean? And you start to realize, what's that? Is it called Warfare? A new one came out recently, right. And like loads of people, loads of people like talking about it as like very realistic, in terms of like putting you in that vibe or whatever. And do you know Matty Green?
No, I don't think so. I know him off Instagram, kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's former Marine, and I told him about it, and then he went off and watched it, and he was like, "Yeah, it was shit." So I'm like, but then I've heard like Jocko Willink talk about it, and he said it was great. So
yeah,
but it's just it's interesting, isn't it? How like, I guess everyone's going to have a totally different perspective on what it was like for them.
100%. Everyone gets different experiences. It's exactly the same in normal life. If you go and speak to a project manager at Barclays and a project manager, somewhere else, their experience of project management is completely different, isn't it? Right. So like, even in the military, people who are on the same tour in Afghan or Iraq had completely different experiences depending on who you were with, what your job role was, whereabouts you were in the country. Like everything's completely different. So yeah, it's some people would have probably looked at that and gone, yeah, that's pretty bang on, and then other people would have gone, nah, bollocks.
Yeah. What was it like then? Was it rough? Do you see like a lot of action? Do you see a lot of death?
Yeah, I've never described it as rough. To be fair, I think so. My first tour of Afghan was probably my worst one. So summer tour, it was a lot of firefights and a lot of like just getting hounded constantly. But I was young. I was 21. I was. It was what I wanted to do. It was, there's a lot of peace in war. I think because you're just surrounded by that same group of people. It's just you and your mates doing what you were trained to do. It doesn't. I don't think it felt real. Weirdly, like you're kind of going out and you get like warnings of right, okay, so and so's just come over on the radio. They're going to attack you at the next building. And even then, it don't really feel real. It feels almost like you're in a bit of a game or a simulation of it because you've done so much training up to that point. You're probably 4 or 5 years into just doing training after training after training, where people are firing blank rounds at you and all this kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden it's real. Just I don't know. It didn't necessarily feel like a real scenario. There was times obviously where it got real really quickly and people get injured and some people died, but it still felt like we were just doing a job and we were all part of almost like a brotherhood with it. And I think there's people that I've not spoken to now. I mean, that tour there was 2009. People I've not spoken to since then, and I guarantee if you put us in the same room and having a beer, we'd be mates like we were back on that tour because we've had shared hardships and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it didn't necessarily feel real. And yeah, there was hard times, but I look back on it with fond memories rather than anything else. There was times where it was absolutely horrendous, but you kind of remember the good times with the people that had passed or the people that had been injured. And yeah, I tried to spin it positively. I think it's obviously however your brain's kind of wired with it. Having worked in military rehab for the best part of 6 years as well, I know that people can't process certain things that were going on, and that's absolutely fine. And then there's other people that almost shove it down. I mean, I went through a period of time, kind of going back a little bit, but I went through a period of time where I must have just suppressed everything for years and years and years. And at a moment where like me and my ex were splitting up, I was leaving the military. There was loads of big key things. My brother was going to prison. Like there was all sorts of stuff going on. I went and sat down with a therapist and just kind of explained my life and stuff. And she almost had that like jaw-dropping moment of going, "You're not okay." And I was like, "No, this is fine." I was like, "It's normal." And she's like, "None of this is normal. Like we probably need to dig into it a little bit." So yeah, I mean, it's all different. I had a moment when I was driving down a road and everything just kind of went black, and I could only see like out of a hole, which was weird. But she was like, when I spoke to her about it, she's like, "Yeah, panic attack, normal, completely normal," and I'd expect that. And I was like, "Well, I've never felt that before." And she's like, "Because you've suppressed everything down." So I think the military side is very good at bottling emotion. And Laura, my missus, she's one that's like, "Can you not just show a bit of emotion now?" Because in the military, I know, joined at 16, you get kind of taught that you shouldn't really show emotion. You don't need to show emotion. You should always be that professional soldier and all that kind of stuff. So when you have that moment of, "Oh shit, it's not right," kind of balancing everything out, it feels wrong as well at the same time. So it's a difficult scenario. I feel like I'm in a much better place. And I openly say, like, I went to therapy for 2 and a bit years just to try and talk everything through and make sure that I was feeling all right and that kind of stuff. And I genuinely think everyone should probably go to therapy at some point just to see where they're at and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, when I look back on it, I still look back on it as fond memories, really, mate.
That's so interesting. I think I wonder if it's like just that ultimate presence that something like, you know, going to war would give you, because like, yeah, you're like constantly just kind of like, you're going to be so aware of your surroundings all the time and stuff. So rather than like, what's the opposite of that? Like sat at home on your sofa, like
Yeah,
thinking
literally,
about
which I'm
stuff.
doing now.
um, yeah, and it made me thinking. And obviously, you've done drills, like you say, so it's literally drilled into you, so you know what you're doing. It makes me think a little bit about like for first ever HYROX, like it's a bit like, fine, now what am I doing? And
Yeah,
then you do it a few times, and then you're just kind of so present with it. I don't know about you, but I'm rarely getting my head like these days.
yeah,
You know, just kind of focus on the exercise, you know, and that can feel a bit surreal, a bit
100%.
kind of like a bit of a fucking dream, isn't it? It's just kind of
It's weird,
like
isn't it?
yeah, your brain's way of, because there's so much stimulus, like at HYROX, not comparing it to war, but like yeah, it's like your brain has one way to cope with it, and it's just kind of like, yeah, let's just like focus on the fucking track in front of us.
100%. And the military is very good at prepping you for them scenarios. Like HYROX is a really good example of it. If you think about your first HYROX, when you're running around that lap, you're like, right, how many laps do I need to do? Where do I go in next? What's the, is it ski erg first? I can't remember. It might be sled push. You're kind of like bouncing around and your head's all over the place. The military is very good at putting you in them situations constantly, to the point where it's just routine, and you just go, cool, I know exactly what you're doing. And the more races you do at HYROX, you don't think about the order. You don't think about, yes, you might think about the laps, but you don't really think about where I'm going next. You just run in, you come out, you go through the rock zone, whatever it may be. It is very similar in that sense of just the more you do something, the more routine it becomes, and the more, the easier it is to kind of divert from different plans. So if, you rolled your ankle, or you completely messed up a lap, like you go, right, cool, I fucked that up, but I'm just going to go back to what I know, just carry on, keep going through it, and work through that. But yeah, the military's been very good, particularly for me, mate, of giving me almost like that calm moment on it. And I think that we used to call it in the military like having a condor moment of just deep breath, calm down, like amongst all the chaos, just have that moment of, right, breathe. What do I need to do now to make this situation better? Doesn't matter if it's, you're in the middle of a firefight or something's gone wrong. You running around being absolutely chaotic does not help that situation. You having a calm mind and going, right, what can I do to make this situation better, is what we need to be doing anyway. And it's, it's the same for HYROX in that as well.
What do you think? What was the hairiest moment you had out there?
There's quite a few. I mean, I had a bad one where we got blown into like a river in a mastiff, and two people had died in there, but I got pulled out, which was weird. So, but again, it sounds
Were you
mental.
like unconscious or anything, or
Yeah. Do you know what? It was like a weird out of body thing. You kind of feel like you're going, and it's like your body's kind of like, well, this is where it ends. Like it's a weird, really weird scenario when you think that's the end. But yeah, it's we got like helicoptered out, and then you kind of find out that two of your mates have died, and in that same vehicle, and it goes to show about the military, about processes and stuff like that. Is I had like a week in Camp Bastion, settling down, like simmering down, and then it was like, right, cool, back you go, and it's just like back to the job in hand. But when you actually speak to someone about it, so when I went to a therapist and spoke about it, and she's just like, it's just, you can't suppress everything all the time. But as a youngster, particularly, I mean, I was 21 at the time, so as a young soldier, you don't want to be that person that's oh man, I can't do this. I don't feel like I'm up to it. Whatever it is, it's almost like, right, bottle everything up. Let's just make sure that we are still seen as a good soldier, still seen that we're doing our job, doing everything that we need to do, help the team out, that kind of stuff. And I'll process it later. But actually, during the 2005 to probably 2013, we were just in a constant cycle of training, go out to Iraq, training, go out to Afghan, training, go back out to Afghan. So there was no real time to process it. You had like 3 or 4 weeks off, and then you got back into a training cycle, knowing that you were going for 6 months again at another time. So there was loads of hairy moments, but I think everyone has them moments as part of it. It's unfortunately it was part of the job that we kind of signed up for, and I get that, and I know that there's not like days where I have days where I'm, going, what happened there? Like, it could have been completely different, and what about if it was me and all that kind of stuff. But I try to almost live my life a little bit more positively, in the sense of, like, the people that we'd lost or the people that got injured would love to be in the scenario where I am now, where I'm feeling fit, healthy, doing the stuff that I want to do. So I try to bring that in and go, well, if they can't do it, I'll make sure that I can do that for them as well.
Do you think you ever had a chance to grieve for the mates that you lost, or have you ever?
I don't think so. I don't know if I ever will, mate, to be honest. I think because I was so young and I was so in the flow of just going to tour, going on tour and doing whatever. No, I don't think so. I think it was just we had a few beers for everyone. Like, when we came back, like, our squadron had a bit of a get together. We, obviously went to funerals and stuff like that, where you have the moments of, but even, which sounds mental, even at the funerals, I don't think not one of us in our troop was crying, because we were all stood there kind of, I don't want to be the one that's showing that emotion. Nowadays, it's very much more accepted, I think, of going, well, men should show emotion and all this kind of stuff. But definitely when we were in that cycle, I didn't want to start breaking down in front of my mates. And so it was almost like, hold everything together. Cool, right, let's go and have a beer and have a good time. So yeah, no, I don't think I'd ever grieve for him properly. I think the first time that it actually came out was, like I was saying, when I spoke to a therapist, and she was digging into it, and I was kind of like, oh, yeah, that is pretty raw still, even though it is, 10, 15 years ago nearly. It's crazy to think where it was.
Yeah, it's mad how stuff like can get buried, and I've done quite a bit of therapy myself. I've recently just started back, actually, and nice. It's amazing what gets buried, and you're unaware of it, and then they can just say something, and then all of a sudden you're like floods of emotions. There's just an unlock.
Yeah.
I was thinking then, like, as time's gone on and we're in like a more modern society, and we talk about men having emotions and stuff like that, whether or not it would ever get to a point within the military where they go, all right, you've seen one of your mates like get blown up or whatever, okay, let's do some therapy or whatever. And it's like, I suppose you're not optimizing for a happy soldier, are you?
No.
Doesn't necessarily make a good warrior.
Yeah, it is because it's a fine line, and I could definitely feel the change as I started leaving, which was 2020. Like, we were definitely trying to create, a more holistic approach to soldiering. So being able to speak to people, definitely didn't feel as strict and stuff like that as it was before. Lots more different ways of trying to get people to push themselves, whether that was like adventure training and random different aspects of it. And I could definitely feel the change in that, which was amazing. And I think it was probably for the right and the good of, like, the soldiers, definitely. And I hope it keeps going that way. But it's also a very fine line of, you almost need to be able to suppress it a little bit to go to war. If if World War III kicks off, we kind of need people to just be able to go through their job and process what's going on. And I think, whilst it's a difficult conversation, isn't it? Because I think everyone should be able to speak and express their emotions and have them moments in the sand. But I'm also a big believer that if we're creating warriors and soldiers of that ilk, we have to be able to suppress it, and we have to be able to go to war and do our job, come home, and then grieve and do the things that we probably didn't do back in the day.
Yeah, and I think as well, like therapy for women and therapy for men as well are very different. I'm not, and obviously there are women in the armed forces as well, but it's like this is something I think about sometimes, and you kind of like there's a downside of like being with talking to this. I have a woman therapist, and then constantly kind of validating you. Oh, that must have been difficult and stuff like that. And then I think sometimes I'm like, do I need a little bit of pushback there? Do I need like like a bloke to be like, get your fucking shit together?
Yeah.
And this is the balance as a man, isn't it? To
100%.
trying to figure it out, and it's I think men. I think society doesn't know what they want from their men. I think
No, it
that's it.
seems that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I am a firm believer that we should be, at some point, we need men to be, taking control and doing stuff like that. And I'm not saying like the man needs to do the job, the woman needs to stay in the house, and that's absolutely not it. But I mean, from a man's point of view, I think it's like really beneficial to be able to understand your emotions, express them if you need to, but also be that like grounding figure in a house or in society as well to help, people go on. And I think go back to HYROX, and that's quite a good thing for people because I think it breeds a mentality of like, right, cool, I'm going to better myself. I'm going to make sure that I'm strong, fit, healthy, active. And I think that's what I've always thought a man should be, is like a leader in that sense. And I try to be a leader myself in whatever it is I'm trying to do, whether it's physical activity, whether it's stuff at home and helping Laura out or whatever it may be. But I quite like the idea that men should be able to lead families and organizations as well as women as well. We've got a load and load of like really strong women. And I'm not saying that that's not how it should be, but I just think from a man's point of view, I think it's nice to have some of the traits that they used to have. You know what I mean? When the people say, "Oh yeah, back in the day, they used to be men's men and all that kind of stuff." Yeah, some of them traits are amazing, but also I think adding in some of the new traits of people where people go, "Oh, it's the work brigade." Well, actually, some of them traits are really powerful. Understanding your emotion, understanding how to express them, understanding like what you need as a man, whether it is therapy, whether it's just a friend to go for a beer with and chat through certain things. There's a lot of really good parts of that as well that we can kind of tie in and be a hybrid man, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? And that's
yeah, for sure. And I've been playing with this idea a little bit about things like attachment style and how much should we talk about it, and a man needs to be a man and stuff like that. And then it's almost like you realize like at the other side of the curtain is this thing where it's just like by just being you is a masculine act. Like, this is me, this is what I need. And even if what I need is maybe a little bit needy, but that's me, I'm sorry. And like, do you know what I mean? That's how I'm sort of feeling about it at the moment. It's just like, because that's being unafraid and of judgment and stuff, and goes, this is who I am.
definitely.
And
People need different things, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Like, there's some women that I know that are, so like driven, I'd say self-centered, that are far stronger at various different things than men. But then there's also men that just need a little bit more, love, care, and attention, and all that kind of stuff. And it's about finding a balance. I think it's not saying a man needs to be like this and a woman needs to be like that. It's more saying like, what does the individual need, rather than just being like, we're going to tar men with this brush or we're going to tar women with this brush.
Yeah.
What does everyone need individually?
Absolutely. And when you were talking about HYROX then, it just sort of, I just kind of reflected on, oh yeah, like before I found HYROX, like I've always been like quite confident in like leading in like work environments and stuff like that, but never physically.
Yeah.
And like I'm thinking now, like what HYROX has given me, like I'm like so much more confident as in that kind of like masculine energy, because like I feel strong, I feel fast and stuff like that. And that's what it can give you, is just, really, really quite incredible.
100%. Yeah, it's being physically strong and I'd say strong and capable. brings out a complete different mentality in work, in life. That's what I've always known. I mean, like, particularly leading troops in the military for strength conditioning wise and all that kind of stuff. The fitter someone is, the more confident they are, the more chance they will kind of push themselves out of their comfort zone, whether it's leading someone else or grabbing someone by the scruff of the neck and being like, me and you need a conversation. Let's, go and have a conversation privately, whatever it may be. I've always found that the better the physical shape, strength, like the more confident they are, they just seem to be better people to be around because they're going to push you out of your comfort zone as well. And I think that like ties in with what you're saying there.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed? You ever seen noticed someone who's like loads more jacked than you, and they're like younger than you, and then sometimes I don't know if you feel this, but sometimes you kind of think that they're older than you. And hang on a minute, like he's younger than me, and it's like this weird like respect thing that's going on where we automatically just think, oh, big muscly guy or whatever. And this is, as men, unfortunately, like this, like is how I see it. It's just kind of like, oh, respect him, like capable, and it's just this ancient system that's going on. We go, okay, he can probably look after himself, or like, I want to align with that guy or whatever.
You kind of shape that though, don't you? You find that, and you'll have found it now with HYROX. I look at people that are doing HYROX and you almost straight away have that affinity with them anyway, because you like to put yourself in the locker. I like to put myself in the locker. We'll probably get on.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's definitely a certain personality type that is drawn to HYROX. And, some people just don't get it, do they? And they're just like, why do you want to do that? Even people that even people that go to gyms and stuff, they're like, I'm not doing HYROX. No, they might do a bit of CrossFit or whatever, but like, fuck that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. What do you think about? We'll move on from the army shortly. I was just thinking, what do you think about the conversation around Iraq and Afghanistan and what happened or whatever? What society thinks and what you think? Is there a tension between those two things?
Do you know what? It sounds mad, but I don't really, or try not to like ever think about it, just purely based on the fact that I didn't really get a say in anything anyway. You're kind of just following whatever leaders are saying. So it was all very top level with it. We were just going to do jobs that we got told to do. I think at the time, Iraq probably felt a little bit more divisive in the UK, I think. When we came back from Iraq, there wasn't really... Like when we used to do like a medals parade, so you'd walk around your local town where your unit was based, and there wasn't really anyone came out to like celebrate anything. But then when we did Afghan, I think given the fact that it was after 9/11 and there was 7/7 bombings and all this kind of stuff that was still probably quite recent in the mind of people, I think the UK was behind it anyway. I definitely noticed that on our first tour, which was our worst one. When we came through, we were at Ripon at the time. Like the streets were packed full of people, like clapping as you paraded through, and it felt that that felt like a really good moment. I always look back at that moment and be like, I mean, even get goosebumps now just thinking about it. But it's that was what the ones where I thought we're actually doing some good in the world. Iraq, I maybe didn't feel like we were doing some good, but that wasn't at the time. Kind of looking back, whether it was the right thing to do, I don't really know. I've never really looked into it too much, and I don't want to, because I don't want to kind of tap into the emotion side of going, oh, fuck's sake, should we have done that? Should we have done this? And I don't want to bring any of that out. I'd rather just be like, well, we went there, did our job, and came out, and we were told to do that, So, yeah, but the Afghan stuff, I thought it felt like we were doing some good, and it wasn't all war fighting. Like we were building schools, we were, redeveloping certain areas and stuff like that, which looking back was, amazing, seeing like kids helping us build schools and doing all these different things that probably wasn't shown in the media so much, which is right. Yes, there was certain times where we were getting nailed by Taliban fighters and all that kind of stuff, but there was also times where we had 2-3 months of building schools, building, shops up and doing all these different things that wasn't really put out into the media. But, I'll always be going, well, actually, we did actually a lot of good there because we'd seen the kids go back to school. We've seen the parents be like crying with happiness. Which, I don't tend to look into I've not tended to look into the politics so much. The only time that I do is when it's on Netflix and I'm like, shit.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking like, oh yeah, I've got a kind of flavor of kind of the sentiment around that is, but then I'm also like, actually, like maybe maybe I have no idea, because it's not like we're all just watching Channel 4 and news these days and everyone's getting this kind of like wave of consensus. But like now, like you've got your Instagram, you've got your own Netflix algorithm, stuff like that. So it's like, actually trying to really get a hold of that is probably fucking impossible, which is a bit weird. But also, which is weirder, having like a unique perspective, or everyone having like this kind of brainwashed kind of thing of like the mass media? Don't know. But
it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I remember when we came back from Iraq, there was people like out with signs saying like butchers and all this kind of stuff. But what they didn't see is like, I don't think we had one firefight in Iraq where I was anywhere, but we built up like 3 schools. We built up a hospital. We'd like helped their drainage systems, all these kind of different things where it was like they could live normally again because they'd been blown up. But not one part of that was shown in the media. So you're coming back and everyone's like, oh, you've been killing kids. I was like, mate, I've literally been building schools. What are you on about?
Yeah.
Like, I've not done any fire. I've not shot my weapon once over in Iraq. They bombed us every single day, which was nuts. But we were out there still building schools and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a weird scenario because you only know what you get told, right? Like you're not out in Iraq, but you can watch a Netflix documentary that's obviously going to highlight certain things that people want to push. But it's no slight on anyone else because that's all you know, unless you were there.
Yeah, like, and media obviously is ridiculously powerful. And I think we all know that, but I don't know, you just start to notice it even more. Like, I try my best to always have like a critical thinking cap, because sometimes like you watch something like, oh, that is fact.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It is
and it's like, and I heard there was a documentary filmmaker on Joe Rogan recently, and he'd done this loads of stuff about like the American Civil War, and he basically, unfortunately, I don't think you can see any of his stuff on Netflix or whatever, because it's all on like the American like public broadcast system or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you go to Netflix? And he's like, well, if you go to Netflix, they'll basically be like, right, here's 10 million quid. We want it in a year.
Yeah.
Whereas if it goes to like the public things, it's like 15 years to make a documentary. And maybe you won't earn as much. And that's where you get the real context.
Of course.
So it made me think like, well, how many these documentaries we're watching are like being spun up super quick.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how can you get a full contextual kind of overview of actually what's going on if those incentives are all like time and money based? So
it's difficult with Netflix as well, because you often just get the one hand of it, and you can feel like the underpinning tone of a Netflix documentary from the start, can't you? Of going, he's bad, she's bad, this is the good guy. It's often the bad people. I said bad people, the people that are getting demonized, that don't necessarily have interviews. So it's kind of, we can say what we want about these now because they're not going to comment anyway. And you kind of, it's so difficult. Every single person in the world must have watched a Netflix documentary and gone, that's fact. This is how I now feel about this situation. 100%.
I'm so excited to tell you about my first ever sponsor. Bear Bar make the highest quality shower soaps. Those of you close to me will know I'm always recommending and gifting them to people. I've actually brought some upstairs from my bathroom to show you. This one is Nebula Nightshade Fresh Cut Pine. This is one of the first ones that they made. It's got like this oaty kind of texture thing. I once described it to Christian, the founder, as like a cheese grater for my feet in a good way. Favorites are Woodsman, Molten Lather, it's actually a shampoo bar, and Citrus Burst, which I've used all of that, so I don't have it. Do you remember those like packs you used to get with Pokemon cards? They're kind of like that. They stack it in your bathroom really nicely. You'll definitely dig it. Once you try these, you will never want to go back to £1.99 squeezy plastic horrible fairy liquid style soaps. Trust me, it's an absolute game changer. I don't even bother with moisturizer because I've got this fantastic quality soap and a good diet, of course. There's no plastic. It's made in the UK. Honestly, it's just a 5-star product all round. If you'd like to try Bear Bar, you can get 15% off your first order by going to bit.ly/bearjace. That's BAREJASE to get 15% off. How do you manage to sleep when you're like surrounded by rockets and stuff?
I still sleep really badly now, to be fair. So I'm like, I have to, before I go to bed, like eye mask on, earplugs in. I still wake up to like every little movement.
Interesting.
Laura, my missus, goes mad because she's like, stop turning over, stop doing this. I'm like, I'm just trying to get settled into it. But yeah, I think when you're over there, I don't think I had an issue sleeping, which is mad. Iraq was probably the worst one because in Afghan, you take yourself out of the firefights, you go to sleep in your compound, and then you go back out in the morning, like doing whatever you're doing. In Iraq, because we were in such a big base and the Iraqi forces were literally bombing you every night. I think I've got a map somewhere where it pinpoints where they fired a rocket every time. I gave it to my mum for Christmas one year and she was fuming, but it was like, I think we got 594 rocket attacks in the 6 months we were there. So it was literally every night. But the worst thing is we slept in coffins in Iraq, like physical breeze block coffins that had like a metal sandbag like roof on it, just so that if a rocket came in,
like a tomb.
Yeah, literally. So if it hit the top, you were going to be all right. If you were that one unlucky person, which there was a few people,
if it hit
where
the top, landed, you'd be okay.
Yeah, because it was all like, it was metal and sandbags. So if it hit you on top,
how deep is that?
It was fine. You probably, if you were sleeping, maybe about there from your face, so maybe 12 inches away from your face,
right?
The actual top bit. But yeah, if it hit the top of it, you were fine. If it hit inside the actual gap where you used to climb in, which it did for some people, was like, obviously it was game over because the rocket stays in there.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, we would get a rocket attack and you would hear it at the far end of camp, and then you'd hear it at the other end of camp, and then you'd hear it slightly closer, and then you'd hear it this end slightly closer, and you'd go, oh shit, they know where we are. So you could hear them like moving it, going, no, bit more to the right, and then you'd almost just be waiting for that next one, and the alarms would be going off and all sorts. But yeah, it was a weird scenario because this is a really weird scenario. But I came back from Iraq, I went shopping with my mum, and we were in M&S one day, and the M&S lorry was coming in reversing, and that reverse sound from the lorry was the exact rocket alarm sound from Iraq. And I just hit the deck because you get taught, wow, if the rocket alarm comes on, you just hit the deck and you put your hands on your head because the rocket will naturally like push its explosives up. But yeah, I remember hitting the deck and my mum was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I'm in Scarborough. I'm not in Iraq. What's going on? But like, that was a constant thing every single night. So I don't know if my sleep's pretty fucked up now, because I say fucked up. I sleep very well, but it takes me so long to get into that whole process of it. But yeah, I don't know if that's something that's like right in there that I just will never be able to shake, maybe.
Yeah, it's funny. I like, obviously, like I've never been to war, but like I've had this experience of like having these night terrors like most of my life. Don't really have, like, you would think from the fucking shit that I would used to, not as bad now, that like had been to war or something like that. It's that like intense. So whether there's something fucking really deep seated that I don't even know about that I've forgotten that's impacting that. But yeah, I think I'm sure it's bound to have an effect. And it's almost like, because you're, like you say, you probably slept easier out there because it's like there's no guessing. You just that is the
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like
Literally, right. And you kind of laugh, like it's weird because you'd hear it going and you'd be laughing with your mates going, it's coming the next one, innit? And you can hear everyone laughing, and you just it's a weird sense of like camaraderie, but we're kind of sat there going, ooh, that next one that sounded close. Because it starts shaking the tents and you'd go, oh shit, this next one's coming in hot. And then it would stop. And you go, oh, they've gone to bed. We're good. We can go back to sleep now. But yeah, it was, I think it's the same as you, mate. Like, I think it's just always going to be in the mind. And, you know, it's weird how the chemicals in the brain work in that sense of whether, and I don't know, I'm not someone who's studied the brain or anything, but like whether my brain patterning is the initial part where I go to bed just takes ages to switch off that little bit, and then I'm all right because once I'm asleep, I'm okay. I'm like,
yeah,
I wake up to the smallest movement, but that's why I've got earplugs and an eye mask on because I try to limit that damage, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know if once I'm in that sleep, I'm okay. It's just the initial getting off to sleep. I don't know. Is yours the same, or is yours when you're in the deep sleep? That's when you start to get the night terror.
So usually, so the way like a night terror always works with me is it's like I would, I wake up. Sorry, I'm basically it's like nothing is happening. I'm not conscious. It's that weird sleep stage when you're just dead. Like there's no dreaming. Yeah. You're not in the REM stage yet. So I'm kind of just not like everything's just black or whatever. And then all of a sudden, just like instant fear, the most fear imaginable. If you could just be injected into your body, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Like end of life. I'm like the worst thing in the world is happening, and it's just like a split second feeling, and then sometimes it can like I don't know. I'll wake up, I'm like punching my headboard, or I'm like flung myself across the room, or I'm like crawling up the fucking walls, stood on in the corner in the dark, like mental.
Yeah.
And I think because no one knows it, like doctors or anything, they have no clue. No. They have no clue. The only thing that really improved it was when I quit drinking.
Right.
About 6 months after I quit drinking, they died down.
Nice.
And yeah, and I think it's like where you drop into. It's like you miss a sleep stage.
Yeah.
It's like it's like you for some reason you don't like transition through, and you drop into this like deep sleep or whatever. And I don't know if your nervous system is just not ready for it. That's how I kind of like bro science my way through it because actually at the moment I don't get that, but I get chest pains.
Okay.
So it's like. So that's something I'm dealing with at the moment. So I don't get the fucking night terrors anymore, but I get these constant chest pains, and it's like I know it's all in the mind, and it's funny because these started happening right after I'd had like 2 or 3 weeks of like being in the best mood I've been in a long time. Go figure. Like how the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's like because I spoke to my therapist, I was like, because sometimes with HYROX and stuff as well. I'll go to a class on Saturday morning. I'll absolutely fucking smash it, push myself really hard. I'm smashing in the caffeine gels. Then I'll get home and then I'm like, I'll have something to eat and then I'll just go into like a dip, which is obviously just like fatigue. And then I might, I'll sleep or whatever, or I might, but sometimes it can put me in a little bit of a negative state of mind because like what goes up must come down.
Of course.
And then the last few weeks, I've been trying to manage that peak a little bit and not try. Do you know what I mean? Just don't push as hard. Don't have as much caffeine. Try and like stay a little bit equanimous throughout the day. And it worked really well. Mood has been loads more stable and all of that. But then all of a sudden, like I start getting these chest pains. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like the weird paradox is probably my body needs the depression little slump.
Yeah.
Because it's then recovering its CNS, but then that also comes with low mood.
Yeah. You can't be on like an upward trajectory the whole life, otherwise.
No.
Well, I mean, it would be amazing too, but you just physically
not possible.
happen, can it? It's the same as fit. If you look at like physical fitness, we have to deload at times to then take that progression on again. We don't want to be plateauing. So like, it's the same in life. We're going to have moments where I feel a bit shit to bring us back up to the next level with it, I guess. But yeah, it's weird. And it's weird how it doesn't, like, nothing ever correlates with stuff.
It's so fascinating. I've spoken about this sort of stuff quite a lot on the podcast, different people. And then, and it's really like just being okay with being okay in those dips and realizing that it is like a part of recovery.
Yeah.
I can't remember where we were going with this. Oh, because we were talking about sleep. So yeah, interesting one. Have you tried this? Do you sleep on your side or your back?
Side.
When you're in the field, do you sleep on your side?
Yeah.
So last night I had the same fucking thing, and and then if I sleep on my back, it does tend to help. Like, it feels alien, but if you imagine sleeping on your front is the most vulnerable you be to, like, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
Like, lying on your back, especially if you're out in the wild or whatever, like, someone could attack you. So, of course, on your side you're in a defensive position.
Right.
So I think there's something going on whereby if you're lying on your side, it's a bit like when you force yourself to nasal breathe.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling your body, we're safe. I'm totally comfortable lying on my back.
Yeah.
There's no, like, predators, assailants, whatever around me.
Yeah.
So I do that is quite helpful, although it feels weird the first few times you do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd struggle with that, I reckon. I don't know. I might try, but I just always get to a point trying to get to sleep where I'm like, right, I'm bouncing between side to side to side to side. So yeah, maybe break it up with a little bit of back on the back.
Well, it's kind of like I'm just like, right, fuck it, I can't sleep. I'm just gonna lie here.
Yeah.
And then I'll just like, and then before I know it, like, I tend to drop off anyways. So here's one person who can't sleep telling the other person some tips on how to sleep.
Here's your tip.
All right. Horse in the block. What's that mean?
Who sent that in?
I found, I did a bit of research. I found it on YouTube.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. So, well, we're back. We were in Germany. We were basically out drinking in Germany, and one of the lads went past a horse's field and was like, "I'm going to bring one of these horses back to the block." And we're like, "Shut up, mate." Anyway, we'd all gone back in, and he must have gone back to the field because we all went back in, but he must have gone back out. I woke up in the morning and I opened my door and I looked down the corridor. If you imagine like uni halls, it's literally the same as that, just like individual rooms. I looked left down the corridor and there was a massive horse in the corridor. But he's up 2 flights of stairs. So I looked left. Like the corridor was covered in horse shit, obviously. But this horse was just stood in the middle of the corridor. So I just closed the door. I was like, I'm not getting involved in this. Lock the door. Anyway, it turns out that field, so the field was next to the barracks, and it was like the King of Germany's horses enclosure, and it was one of his horses. So they were saying, like, before, they're like, the horse can't walk downstairs. I didn't actually know that, but horses can't walk downstairs, apparently.
Okay. I know cows, they say cows can't, don't they? You hear that?
As well. So cows are nice in the same bracket. But they can walk upstairs, but they can't come downstairs. So they were trying to, like, drag it down the stairs. The horse was obviously just like, I'm not moving. Anyway, it's eventually, because I think if it wasn't the King of Germany's one, they'd have had to just either push it down the stairs or do something else. But they took a window out of the block and they got a crane and they had to crane the horse out to take it back to the field.
Okay.
But yeah, I woke up in the morning, mate, and there's a massive black horse in the block, which you know one of them things where you're really pissed and I kind of was like, he did say that he was going to do that last night.
Yeah.
And then it was like, right, someone knows who's done this, and everyone's obviously going, mate, I don't have a clue. We're all just thinking, mate, we know exactly who did it, but can't like rat you in for that.
Oh, so he never got found out who it was?
No. I genuinely think he might have got kicked out of the army for it, because it was they'd spent
Yeah.
so much money like removing the window, removing brickwork around it
Yeah.
just to get this horse out the block.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like local newspapers were covering it and all sorts, saying how someone had stolen a horse.
You mentioned before. You mentioned World War III. What, like, I wonder what you would think. Like, not what your thoughts necessarily are on like what's been going on in the last few months with like Iran and stuff. But I think, what do you think about the prospect of if something like that happened and like the UK's readiness?
Do you know what? I honestly don't know. I don't think any war from now will be like soldiers on the
Mm,
ground war fighting style thing. I think it'll mainly be like cyber warfare and stuff like that.
mm,
I'm always. It sounds mad, but I'm always shocked at how good the UK military is at stuff when you don't know about it, you don't think about it. But like even when we went to Afghan, I'm pretty certain most people are like, oh well, the UK military's not going to do anything. Like Russia were in there for 40, 50 years and, basically got took out of there. And then whenever you speak to US and any other NATO forces, they're like, the UK military is the best, like
mm,
by far. So I'm always surprised by how good the UK military is without
mm,
like digging into it too. I just kind of, they do surprise me with it. So I'm hoping, and I'm sure we've got some amazing cyber capabilities. And like, if you look at the top end of the UK military, when you're looking at like special forces and all that kind of stuff, like the stuff they do is just outrageous. So it's
mm,
one of them things where I genuinely, I don't worry too much about it because I
mm.
think taking like your bandwidth off to worry about potential cyber attack from whoever it may be for the UK. I do generally think a lot of it is hot air from certain leaders to try and get, certain things through parliaments and Congress or wherever it may be. But
Mm.
yeah, I tend to not worry about it. I mean, if you look back over the last 10 years, we've been going to go to war with Iran. We've been going to a war with Russia, China. Like they've not ever kind of come to fruition, really,
Yeah,
because ultimately the US is the big stakeholder in everything, and they will decide who goes to war, when, and with who.
yeah.
And we're lucky that we are, probably their biggest allies. So
Hmm.
it's not. I'm not. I never get overly worried about it. I kind of just sit back and go, well, as much as Donald Trump comes across as an absolute knob, I'm sure he's probably got a handle on. And I actually genuinely, as much as he's a knob, and I think most people in the US probably don't like him at the moment, or 50% of them don't like him anyway.
Hmm.
I genuinely think that like other world leaders just think he's that much of a lunatic that they don't really want to do anything untoward because
I think they're
it will
terrified of
spark
him, aren't they?
some. Yeah,
I think because like I know, like they say that Putin's apparently fucking terrified of him.
are you surprised? Like you generally don't know what. Like if he wakes up on
Yeah,
one side of the fence one morning, you're like, oh, cool, he's all right, and then the next time you
yeah,
go, what's he on about here?
yeah,
It's so polarizing. But I think as it's almost like you want him to just be leading the US like military side, maybe just to keep everyone in check rather than
yeah,
the country.
yeah.
Because, but yeah, I don't necessarily worry too much about it. I think we're always, you know, we're always on the brink of a world war. We always have been,
Hmm.
haven't we? Like,
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah,
last few years have been the only years where we've not actually been in some form of war fighting phase for
yeah,
the UK military. So actually, we're probably in a bit of a peacekeeping time at the moment, which is nice.
yeah, yeah. Like when it all happened with Russia, like I remember, oh right, this is it.
Yeah,
Like, and then unfortunately, obviously, with the people of Ukraine and people on the front lines of Russia, it's a fucking big deal. But
100%.
I think with the Iran thing, it was just the first time where I was like, I really got like bombarded with it all on Instagram and seeing all these rockets and stuff, and
Yeah,
it was like, whoa, like that. Like it was the first time where I was like, really kind of think, okay, well, I suppose it makes sense. It's been a few years since we've had a world war. It's like, and I'd almost like resigned myself to it. I was like, all right, so maybe
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
But I think one of the criticisms of what happened with Russia, I'm obviously not an expert on this, but we're just chatting shit. I am. But
Yeah.
like one of the things that happened with Russia is one of the criticisms is that the US didn't actually go hard enough to bring them to the table. So they were just kind of, oh, we'll send a little bit of aid, send a little bit of aid, and then in military industrial complex, so it's just like money, 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 money. And although people voted for Donald Trump because he was saying that he would have peace, like fucking hell, he pretty much just like blew them out of the water with that fucking attack, which just like go hard, like, and then all of a sudden everything's like died down.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because it doesn't matter what we think about it. Like the US is the most powerful military in the world.
Yeah.
Like they are the ones that decide what happens where.
Yeah.
So as long as we're on that side of the fence, we're probably okay. Like I'd rather be on that side of the fence than, be the opposite side with it. So yeah, you just kind of will always march to their beat in that sense, I think. I mean, I don't really look into the politics too much. In fact, I try not to watch any of the news just because it's so depressing when you get into like you said, a spiral of so-and-so's rocket attacks or like a hospital's been hit by this you just, before you know it, you're feeling really down because you bought into all the media stories and all that kind of stuff. And I guess you don't, obviously they try to portray whatever it is, but you don't know the intricacies of it. Was there anyone in the hospital? Like all this kind of stuff. But I try to just steer away from the news because it's just depressing story after depressing story, isn't it?
Yeah, defo. And like, and I noticed myself like getting like into it a little bit more, and then I've kind of just come away from it because it's weird how like addictive it is.
Oh yeah, Once you're in a hole, it's like.
I'm like, oh right, I've seen. Oh fucking hell, there's another rocket and stuff like, and then, and normally like it's a bit more obvious because it's on the TV. So I'm like, well, I'm not watching the news anymore. But then all of a sudden it's on the fucking device.
Yeah, literally everything like kind of comes through there now, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about RedOn. Let's start with what have you learnt since putting together RedOn? Is it Performance Center? Is that what we call it?
Yeah, we've got the RedOn Performance Center.
Like, what have you learnt about the data that you've collected by working with so many athletes?
There's myself, Mike, Isaac, Ash, and Dan that work in there like full time. Then we've got like Liam and Lucy as well. But we've been testing people actually for years. I think it's only just come to the masses because of HYROX, really, because people started going, oh shit, I've seen Jake Jaden's been tested VO2 max, or Charlie Bottrell's been tested. I'd love to see what my VO2 max is.
Yeah. And
we've been testing people for years and years, from professional footballers, UFC fighters, boxers, and everyone in between. So we're always, Ash leads it. He's like our, he's a doctor and his PhD's in musculoskeletal health and research around that as well. So he's still a researcher. We made a decision probably 18 months ago to see if we could be the first people to start to dig into HYROX as a sport and see what makes a good HYROX athlete. Because if you think about research, it's normally 10 or 15 years behind anyway. So we're just getting some good research around CrossFit athletes, for example, because it's a fairly new sport. It's been going years and years, but we're only still getting that out. Data-wise, we're looking at like what makes up a good athlete. So if we do it individual to every single person. So if you are a UFC fighter, you probably need a good rate of force development. You need to be able to transfer power from the ground through your fist into someone. Like that is what we're looking at from a UFC point of view. Probably need a good aerobic capacity. So we need to look at your VO2 max, and we also need to look at your power profile as well, because that's where we're going to start to build your training from it. And we work at RedOn where we do the testing for an athlete, but then we program from the back of it so that we know it's almost like a cheat sheet for people. Because if I get you to run a 5K, go right, Jason, go off, do a 5K run. You might be a bit stressed that morning. You might not have eaten well. You might not have slept well. There's all these different variables that kind of play into it. If I put you on a treadmill and take your blood, put it into a computer, there's no stress level that's worrying about that. There's no lack of sleep. Like I can tell you exactly what your 5K time is going to be because it's your blood. It's what makes you up. So the
Is
minute
that
we
right?
know,
You can tell exactly from,
literally to the second of
and
what
there's
your
no
actual,
differences on how you're feeling on the day.
no, not really, unless you come in and you've had 8 coffees beforehand and not eaten for 3 days and battered yourself
That's
to the
me
gym.
most Saturdays.
Yeah, literally straight through. But we can then take that and go, cool. Well, now I can prescribe you the exact run splits that you need to do for this, the exact distances you need to do to improve your anaerobic capacity, aerobic capacity, ATP, whatever it may be, and whatever we look at. So it's almost like a cheat sheet for people at the moment, which is what we've found with the RedOn athletes. Is we've been able to take people that have been good, I would say good at HYROX, where, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th places in their age group, to dominating their age groups completely, podiuming at world championships, and then going elite 15, because we've known exactly what you need to become that with it. So data wise, I mean, we're still figuring out what a good HYROX athlete looks like, and I think it depends on your anatomy, you know, weight, muscle mass, all these kind of things, that you might need to be stronger, you might need to be faster, whatever it may be. But hopefully in the next 12, 16 months, we should be able to publish some work to say this is what makes up, or this is what we believe makes up a top level HYROX athlete, because we've had a lot of good athletes come in. We've got Tim Veenish in on Tuesday actually this week, which will be good. So it'd be nice to actually pull some data from the current world champion and go, cool, this is what it takes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had a lot of elite 15 people in there, maybe 10 or 12 of them. So we've got a good basis of that. And then we've maybe had 150-ish good age group athletes. So we can kind of then go, well, if Tim Venish's VO2 is this, his strength profile looks like this, his counter movement jump looks like this, and this person's is down a lot, does that mean that if they bring that up, they'll then be able to breach that gap over towards the elite 15?
Interesting. And like, obviously, most people will say you need to be a good runner for HYROX, which is obvious. Is that an oversimplification given the data?
100%. Like, running's going to help because it's 50% of the actual event itself. Of course it is. The stronger runner you are, the more likely you are to be able to, and I hate compromise running, but the better you'll be at compromise running, because you'll be able to sustain them kind of efforts with it. But ultimately, you've still got to be able to move in the ways that they need you to move. So, you know, mobility is going to play into it. Strength's going to play into it. Granted, it's not pure strength, and it's not like you need to be back squatting 180 kg to make sure that you can throw a wall ball 100 times at a target. That's not what it's like, which is why we try to look at like rate of force development, your ability to produce that force to push up a wall ball or push a sled and be able to push it and then come off there at a good stable heart rate, or, you know, be able to go move with purpose straight afterwards as well. It's definitely not as simple as the faster runner you are, the better you are at HYROX, but there is definitely a correlation to running and HYROX, obviously, because it's 50% of it. So yes, if you can run well, you'll probably be a higher level than someone that can't anyway, because ultimately that's the longest part of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I was to take a guess, hypothesize like what would make a good HYROX athlete from people I've spoken to, it seems that most of them have had some form of endurance sports background when they were young. I mean, look at like Ronchevich, swimming for like fucking 9 years, and then switch over, start doing some strength training, and then they've got this like huge base that like that. Whereas if you're starting and you're trying to build a base at like 30 or 40, it's going to be much more difficult, isn't it?
100%. And you get a lot of the endurance athletes have, like you say, probably been going through 16, 17-hour weeks for 10 years of just low-level, low-intensity work, base building stuff. And then they've come over and gone, cool, right, now I just need to be a little bit more specific with my training, and that's good. If you're coming from bodybuilding background where it's not really that functional, or whatever we want to call it, you've got to build a base. You've then got to get specific with the movements. You've got to build some form of capacity to be a hybrid style athlete that can work within different zones and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I always find like runners, triathletes, swimmers are, one of them, even like rugby players where you've got a good base of fitness in general, you can kind of just manipulate that to go, right, cool, now what direction do I need to go in with it? Because I've got a good level of aerobic capacity, which transfers to most sports, if you think about it. Yes, unless you were going to go, right, I'm going to go do a 100-meter sprint, well, your 10 years of marathon training is not going to help too much. But for near enough every other sport, having a good aerobic base will carry you to a certain extent. And then if you can make it a bit more specific by repetitions of wall balls, repetitions of going on the sled, mimicking their movements, you're probably in a good spot with it. I listened to a few of your podcasts, actually, and it's like a lot of them are very sing the praises exactly as I do as well, is you can't really go wrong with doing the movement because it's not that much of a strongman competition, right? Yeah, the pro sled is heavy, but if you can get through that relatively unscathed, the rest of it's really like aerobic anaerobic capacity. It's not really a strength thing. Like you lunging with a 30-kilogram bag, you're not having to reset, deep breath, right, let me go through this one rep.
Yeah.
Deep breath, I'm going to go through it again and really force the glutes for it. You can just kind of bounce between it. And the more reps you do with it, is that mind-muscle connection of just going, cool, I'm all right at this. I just need to breathe, keep going with it. And I can run well off it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff on the pro weights now because, like, I want to try and get to, stop asking about Jason. I want to qualify for Wales this year. But I was like, because originally I was like, I think it'll take 3 years. And then this year I was just like, fuck it, why not just go all in and just say, let's do it this year, see what happens. And if I miss it, I miss it. But yeah, although I've got a meniscus tear, so like the lunges are always like a little bit it's always going to be my, for want of a better term, Achilles heel, I think.
Yeah.
But Paddy's got me doing lots of single leg stuff, constantly doing all the boring shit.
Loads of single leg, loads of hamstrings, glutes, that kind of stuff's going to help.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was doing last night as well. He literally got a new block today, and it's like, I know it's boring, but don't skip any of these.
Yeah, and that's, but like working with elite athletes for 10 plus years, they're just the best at doing the boring, monotonous stuff every day. And that's all it is. They're not the fastest runner. They're not the strongest athlete. They're just the best at ticking boxes every single day, whether that's sleep, nutrition, training, reducing the stress levels. It doesn't really matter. They're just very, very good at ticking every single box every single day consistently for a long period of time.
Yeah. What about we sort of moved into rehab? Like, what are most common issues? I'm going to presume like knees, calves, hips.
Yeah, but just in general.
Yeah,
I think
for HYROX, let's keep it HYROX specific.
HYROX, yeah, I think shin pain, knee pain, back pain, yeah. But it tends to stem from people that have decided that all of a sudden they were going to increase their monthly mileage or weekly mileage. Like, there's people that I get that come to me and go, oh man, my knees or my back's killing. And I'm like, what are you running at the moment? 110K a week. And I'm like, what did you run previously? Oh no, I was never really a runner. So why are we doing that? It's because of social media have said, you watch a few people in there and you go, oh God, they're doing 20-hour training week and they're doing 100K running weeks. Everyone's very individual. Everyone should be doing completely different training, right? Like this is why I think everyone should have a coach that individualizes their training, because the generic approach is fine for some people if you just want to tick over and do tick boxes and stuff like that. But if you actually want to do any damage in the sport, you have to have an individualized program, because that's the way it is. You running 100K a week and me running 100K a week is completely different. We'll both get different adaptations and we'll both break down in different ways. Whether that means that actually Jason can go and run 100K a week and he feels fine. Gaz does 30K and his Achilles flares up. Like, it doesn't really matter, but it has to manipulate at some point with that. So yeah, the majority of people that I see from a HYROX perspective haven't put a focus on the boring, monotonous strength stuff. Now, I'm not saying you need to be back squatting every single day, but what we can do is try to think about it from a methodical point of view of going, right, cool. If I'm going to be running more, I probably need more strength in my hamstrings, my glutes, my adductors, and my soleus muscles. So let me just focus on them. I probably need a good amount of core strength. And hopefully that will stop my body breaking down at some point. So let's look at building our program from that, whether that means that actually I don't like back squatting, so I'm going to get you on a single leg press machine. I'm going to get you on a lying down hamstring curl machine. Like there's different elements we can do to it. Or actually, I love back squatting, so let's put you in a back squat. It's about understanding what you want to do first and foremost, because if you enjoy it, you'll engage with it and you'll do the program. Yes, there's a certain level of monotony to it, and you know it's going to be boring, and it's the right thing to do, but you still have to enjoy it at some point.
Yeah.
But do the right things. Like this, it's not rocket science. Like your body breaks down the more we run. So if we can make our muscles as strong as possible to cope with the demands of it, then we're in a really good spot for it. Like look at your soleus muscle, which is your deep lying calf muscle. That takes between 6 and 8 times your body weight every time you take a step when we're running. Most people have never trained it. So when they come to me and I'm trying to get them to do 30 bent knee calf raises, and that's the standard to get them back to running, and they're shaking like a shitting dog going, Gaz, I can do 5. I'm like, well, we know what the issue is. We just need to do that and apply it in your day-to-day prescription.
Is is 30, is it? 30 reps of bent knees, is that the standard to be running?
From a rehab point of view, yeah. So when we work in rehab, if I was looking at bringing you back from not being a runner to that, now that's not to say that if you were you're doing 20, I wouldn't let you run. I just have it in my mind that I would want to get you up to that 30 standpoint with it. So looking at research is anywhere between 20 and 30 is what we want to be getting towards.
Will that be like a 1 second or like a 3 second raise, or like what's that based on?
Just controlled reps normally, I'd just say.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So like a couple of seconds maybe.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's the good thing about HYROX athletes is not too difficult to get them back from injuries because they enjoy the gym. They're enjoying running and that kind of stuff, and they're already they've got a goal in mind and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'm taking, someone off the street who really doesn't enjoy going to the gym and saying, you have to do strength training. Or, Ash, our doctor says it, in the best possible way. It's not necessarily about doing strength training to be better at HYROX. Let's take it from like a granular level. Strength and power training is what's going to keep you alive. Like it's not, yes, okay, perfect. You're going to go and smash HYROX Rome in September. Amazing, well done. But actually, we want to be functional when we're older. We don't really want our kids wiping our asses when we're 50, 60 years old. So we have to have power training. We have to have strength training.
Yeah.
And if we want longevity, we don't need to be fucking drinking green shakes in the morning. We need to be doing strength and power training so that we've got that, because that's what the evidence says.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's almost like the HYROX training is like the greatest like form of functional training, because you've got a bit of everything. And then like the HYROX events, maybe not. Maybe not. They're probably not that good for you, but they're like the little treats you get along the way, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, I always think like I'll finish a HYROX and I go, this is not healthy. Like
I love that though as well. Like competition, there's nothing like competition, is there?
No.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's such a buzz, and I think like, yeah, it's ages since I've done a HYROX. It feels ages, anyways.
Yeah,
like March. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I've come from an endurance background, so I used to run a lot with like Aaron Woodman and stuff like that. And me and Aaron have some really good conversations.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Around like how just competing constantly is so beneficial. If you want to get a faster HYROX time, do more HYROXes. It's not a great like hidden secret that the people that are the top of the world have raced 40, 50 times. Like you can literally go on High Result and you can type in most races and you probably know the top 10. You're like, oh shit, he's done 50 races. No wonder. But that's, when we used to race cross country and running like 10Ks, half marathons, most weekends, you would race on most weekdays as well. Like there's always like a league on a Tuesday, Wednesday. You go race 10K and then you would race on the weekend. So you're constantly in a cycle of being fit and ready. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and race every single weekend, but if we're going to break it down as like a football season, because, you know, most HYROX now are 90 minutes or less for a good athlete, I would suggest. That's less than a football match. Yes, it's probably a little bit more taxing than a football match, but footballers are playing Tuesday and Saturday every single week from August till June or end of May. Like, we could probably take something from that, whether that means that we race every couple of weeks for a set period of time. We then have a little bit of a mid-season break and then we go back into another season. I'd do that. I think that's something we've done at RedOn really well, is get them racing more. Get people racing as much as they possibly can physically, because you know yourself, the more you race, the more you're in that mindset of going, oh, I know this, I understand it. Like, I'm not as nervous anymore on the start line. I know what I'm doing. I got a great time last week, so there's a little bit of pressure off me this week. So I'll just go and have fun, and that's when you PB, and that's when you start to go, oh, cool, I got my world champ spot, or I got a flag, I got this. That's where we start to move into that realms of that.
Yeah, no, you just got me thinking then, because I was like, because I've just, me and my mate signed up for Stockholm, which is 2 weeks after London.
Yeah.
And then like I spoke to my coach, and he was like, I don't know if you should be doing a solo straight after, because I'm trying to kind of peak-ish for the London one.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just go and do a doubles. And with the greatest respect to my partner, he's a bit slower than me. So I'm like, oh, it's just a bit of a training session.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now you're saying that, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I need to do a pro solo.
I'm doing London and Stockholm as well. So I'm doing, I'll be in, so what I'm doing is like blocking off basically September to December, going to do like a big block of racing, and where the training will maintain, but the focus will be on carrying over the gains from the races. And then after that, I'll probably have a little bit of a block, a couple of weeks, months off, just where I can get a little bit more strength in the body, and then I'll go back into another race block as well. But yeah, that's the way that I've worked it. I mean, we're the same age, mate. So I look at the people at the top end of our sport, Aaron, Lewis Over, and Adam Clare, them kind of boys that are spearheading it, I guess, Dave Parkin. They're racing all the time. I always see them at every race, and I'm like, you're racing again, you're in our age group, nice one. There's one podium spot gone. You know what I mean? And we're kind of like, cool, let's go. But it's, the top people are racing a lot, mate. It's nice. And granted, if you can get on a race, right? So it's not just like as easy as that, but it's one of them things where I think we enjoy it. That's your celebration of all the hard work. So get some more celebrating done.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about Worlds. How'd that go?
Really, really well, but probably so I did singles and doubles. So my singles went as well as I could have had it go. So I felt absolutely fine. I tore my hamstring 6 weeks before. So I was on a tight timeline to get to Worlds anyway. So it was always going to be a win just standing on the start line. I was in the same wave as Aaron as well, which was good. So I knew I had a good marker to go off, because I knew he would be there or thereabouts for the podium, which was cool. So stuck with him for the first bit, went onto the sled push. And I don't know if you've seen the video of me doing the sled push, but I had one of the sleds where it was the old sled or whatever they were saying it was. I just could not move it. Like, my feet, it wasn't that it was heavy. My feet just would not grip the ground with it. So I was just hitting my face off the sled consistently. So I did hit my face maybe 6-7 times. If anyone wants to see have a laugh, go on my profile, you'll see that. It was that point where there was not much I could do about it. Aaron came past me and blinked, and I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And I'm good friends. I like Aaron. He's a great guy. So when he bolted off, I was the last. I came in 5th, I think, into the sled and left last out of everyone on there. And then after that moment was, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about.
Where's your head at that point? Like, what do you?
It was that kind of thing in the military, mate, where I was just like, right, well, that's happened. I can't really change anything, but let's see if I can get myself back up towards somewhere where I want to be. So I just kind of like ticking people off and moving well. I would say I had the best race of my life following that, because there was no pressure. There was nothing going on. I was just like, let's see how fast I can go. And yeah, I did a 105, which I was really happy with, bearing in mind, I mean, my sled push normally takes 2.5 minutes. I think I was on there for like 6.5 minutes. So
that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that, mate. You know what? I came away with that with a lot of satisfaction of just how I processed it in the race, and went, actually, come on, let's do it. Because my missus was there, my mates were there watching. It was just a nice, we're in Chicago. I kind of just was like,
yeah,
do it. No time to moan now. Just got to do it, haven't you?
Is that, have you been to the World Champs before?
Yeah, so I did Nissan Manchester as well.
Right.
So that was my first time I'd done solo at the World Champs, though.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I suppose, that's the win is getting there, because my goal is like to get to World Champs, and like if I get there, like I'm kind of not going to be that bothered, like, because it's probably going to be a huge step up, and it's just nice to get there. But yeah, interesting. What was it? 105 something over you got?
Yeah, 105. I don't even know. It's like 30, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I've got in my head as my goal, because my open PB is like 105.50, and I was like, if I can just do that at pro, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I feel like might be there or thereabouts. Because did you qualify through the open then?
So I qualified it open because it was last year we were able to do that, weren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, qualified in open doubles London, and then open singles in Stockholm actually last year.
Cool. What do you think? What do you think about the state of HYROX? Any thoughts on like where it's going?
As a whole, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because we're all building businesses anyway. So I know you know how hard it is to build a business. There's things that they can do better. We know that, and 100%. Like I think, positive point of view, they've built a race that is unreal, and that people have bought into that much that like businesses are based around it now.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. So like race wise, all
must
that
be huge for your business, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it is, mate. Yeah, we transferred the tactical population to the HYROX population really easily, because people are like, oh, cool, yeah, it's just functional fitness, and we can do that really well. But yeah, like the race itself is amazing. I do genuinely believe they run a really good event. Like I know people kick off about certain bits of it, whether sometimes they're like judges or the standards are ever so slightly, wrong on different things. But on the whole, getting millions of people through a year, I think it's a really small percentage that they get it wrong with. I probably have a right to be really pissed off about the world champs getting a bad sled, but I'm actually not that bothered. Like at some point, someone's going to get a bad sled, and at some point it's going to happen again, maybe. Hopefully that means that my one's done for a little bit and I can get a nice sled next time. But I think on the whole, I think they do things right. Yes, like communication's terrible. I think there's points where they probably need to make a stand on standards. Like, do they get loads of judges in for the pro division and make sure that is just rigid and ruthless? Like, if you're not breaking parallel on a wall ball, it's a no rep. If you don't finish the race, you don't finish the race kind of job. We were chatting about it yesterday, actually, weirdly, me and Dan Noter, and saying there's probably something they could do where they put the pro division first, and they say to everyone who's doing the pro division, if you do it and then you volunteer afterwards, we'll give you a guaranteed entry to the next race, or we'll give you 20% off your next race, or something like that. Because the people that are doing pro have bought into the sport anyway. I'd happily stick around and volunteer for the rest of the day. The annoying thing is I don't want to stand there and volunteer all day and then race on an evening, because you want to do quite well.
Yeah.
So like if they flip the switch on that, maybe they get more volunteers for it. And do they look at breaking it down almost into two sports of going, the pro division, we're going to be ruthless on it. Standards are going to be, exceptional. You're going to have to meet these standards. And then on the open one, it's like, you know what, if your dad wants to come down and do it and try it, we're going to try to make sure that it's standardized, but we're not overly bothered about it because it's more of a bit of fun and people are going to enjoy it. And it's more that challenge aspect of it. So there's things they can do in that sense, I think. But they've obviously grown really fast, haven't they? And that's it's like how do they get the right people in the right funnels really quickly to get it going properly? I mean, it works, and we all know it works because otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation going back to HYROX.
Yeah.
We'd be going, are you doing this? You know, you're doing the hybrid games, or are you doing Athex, what you're doing next? Like, but we all keep going back for more.
Yeah. I've noticed like quite a lot of people I know who were there like early-ish days, probably similar to you, I would think. And obviously the standard was a bit lower, quite a lot lower, I would imagine. Yeah. And so many people like, you know, got to Worlds and like that must have been awesome. And then those same people now I'm seeing fall away from the sport. Yeah. And obviously there is this early adoption like kind of concept, isn't there, where the first people who come will usually disappear off after it gets picked up by more of the masses. But like, I wonder as well if it's just like from a dopamine perspective, like to go start off, get to Worlds, and then the next year not qualify, and it get harder and harder and harder. Oh, yeah. Like you're not getting like, do you know what I mean? Like it's not yet like you're getting any drip fed any like little achievements, so you might be actually getting faster.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if there's an element of that going on with it, because like I came into it at a point where it was quite competitive already, so it was like I was nowhere near podium, so I can kind of like work my way up. So it's kind of but we'll see. I think the standard's going to be insane this year, though.
Oh, 100%. And like, it's now becoming a sport. So I think a couple of years ago when I first started, it probably wasn't really a sport. You could almost pinpoint a race and go, let's go podium at that race. Let's qualify for the Worlds at this race. And you were there or thereabouts and you probably could get there.
Yeah.
Now it's very much, it's an absolute battle to get to the Worlds anyway, which I think it should be. I genuinely believe it should be the top 1%, because I think this year at Chicago felt like the first time it was a World Championships. So Nice last year was starting to get towards like the standards really good. Manchester the year before just felt like HYROX Manchester, like normal. It wasn't really like a World Champs, I didn't think. This year at the World Champs, it was, you got into a rhythm and you weren't getting overtaken and you weren't really overtaking people. It was almost like you were running round on these, almost like a conveyor belt of everyone being very, very good. Right. So you had to like really make a conscious decision of going, I'm going to run a 3:30 off the back of this to make sure that I can go and smash this. But it felt like a World Championships for the first time, I felt. And I think that's what, for the masses, that's probably not a good thing. But I think for the sport credibility, the longevity of the sport, it has to go that way. So if you look at Ironman, for example, so my background has always been in Ironman. It's so difficult to get to the Ironman World Championships. It's probably 0.1, 0.2%. If you get there, it's like a lifelong dream ticked off. So people will work 15, 20 years at the goal of going, I want to get to Kona, which is the Ironman World Championships. Will it turn that into HYROX? I don't know. But you can race HYROX a lot more, so there's more opportunity for you to try and get there. With an Ironman, it's almost like, right, I'm one for the season, maybe two if I can squeeze it in. I've got 2 shots to get to the Ironman World Championship. Shit, I've not done it. Right, back to the drawing board we go again next year. At least HYROX, you can kind of go, right, I've got 5 races before Christmas. And it's a big if I can PB and pull something out the bag that I didn't know was inside me, I can probably get to the World Championships. Or if everyone's going to HYROX Rome this weekend and I go to, Poznan, will I get a chance? And it's kind of like, where do I play it off for that? But we've got opportunity. You've got more opportunities, I would say, in this. But I think it's, for longevity of sport, it makes it more credible because people then buy into it and go, Jake Dearden is a serious athlete. So me racing him, that's going to be a great sighter for me to see where we are. I think they need to do things like, going back to Ironman, the pros can race with the age groupers, but they can't take any slots. So at the moment, if, someone who's a pro can kind of get that slot and take it, if they want to be an age grouper at the HYROX World Championships, which I don't think is right. I think they need to make it so that the Elite 15 doubles is a different sport to Elite 15 singles. So, it's not just Jake Dean and James Kelly going to team up for one race, win that, and then go, cool, I'm in the Elite 15. I think there should be a pathway there where you're either a mixed double athlete, a doubles athlete, or a singles athlete. And I think it'll probably start to go that way over the next few years. But yeah, I think there's lots they can do in that sense of bringing a little bit more opportunity, I think, to the masses with it.
Yeah. Any general advice for people who are looking to qualify for Worlds this year?
Get as fast as you can. It's so hard, isn't it? Because even last year, it was so tough to qualify, but some people were qualifying in Mexico with a 110, and then you would go to London, and for open singles, you'd have to do a 55. So it's still very region dependent. I've spoken to some people who I know are dead set on going to Stockholm. They're probably, I suppose, similar level to you, mate, in I want to hit a 105 pro, and if that gets me there, then amazing, and that's going to be a massive PB for me, and let's hope that's enough. But they're able to travel a lot more than, say, me or you. So they go in and target in a Acapulco or a Beijing or somewhere like that.
Yeah. I spoke to Aaron a lot about lactate threshold, and obviously that's what you guys are testing as part of your testing at RedOn. Obviously, that's the gold standard to be able to get the best measurement. Is there any sort of perceptual kind of guidance? Do you know, presumably have it done quite frequently, are you able to now kind of feel what that lactate threshold feels like, or is it pretty impossible without the actual data?
No, you can. I think your lactate threshold is probably somewhere around maybe just slightly faster than your 5K time anyway. So you can feel that from that sense. I'd probably be similar to Aaron in the sense that I don't think I'd necessarily need a lactate test to know my lactate threshold because I've been running for so long. I'm kind of running at a competitive level since I was maybe 18, 19. So I kind of know where I'm at. I probably don't even need a watch to tell you what I'm running, which is probably where we're at. I think having a lactate threshold test is amazing. If you can get in for one, I think that's absolutely perfect. But then if you can't do that, at least testing metrics that can translate to HYROX, 5K, 2K, rowing tests, ski tests, back squat tests. Having an actual test week to build from is probably the next best standard down, I think, because if you're not testing, you're essentially guessing what needs work on where we're at and what we can from as well.
So I've been trying to estimate mine a little bit, and I kind of have a feeling where it's at, and I've got heart rate strap and stuff, and I kind of, when I'm doing a class or a simi type session, just trying to go okay, well, I struggled a little bit for 10 minutes after that bit. What happened? Did I go a little bit too far to that line?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. And do you feel you're how close can you go to that line versus solo and pro? Do you see much of a difference?
So I always got taught when I was being triathlon back in the day when I was a decent triathlete. I always got taught by my coach. Do you remember Tekken, the game?
Yeah.
We used to punch each other. He used to say to you, right, essentially the bar at the top, which is your energy life, when you hit that red, it's so difficult to come out of it, right? So when you're getting punched in the head and you hit that red, you just can't get out of it and you're going to essentially die and have to be respawned somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's how close to that red can you get without dipping into it? is essentially the same as a HYROX race, right? So if we're in that red, that buffer doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
When you're in the green, if you get all the way down to the bottom of the green, if he doesn't punch you for the next 10 seconds, your green goes back up all the way up quite quickly as well. So it's about managing that expectation with it. Now, I genuinely believe pro and open is like two separate sports. I really wish that HYROX would create a open world championships, because I think it is two different sports. Having, some people are unbelievable at open weight, and I think there's people in the UK that would go there and genuinely be world champions in an open division. And we all know them anyway. I think it should, hopefully in time, and I'm hoping as HYROX builds, they go, cool, open championships are going to be a world championships. And that kind of feeds into our last point about it then opens it up to the masses a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in that sense. So you could then go, actually, I'm going to target an open race and go sub 1 and try to get into that championship, because it's almost two different sports of people going, right, I'll focus on the pro division this year. So you've taken a load of people out of that. And now all of a sudden you're going, oh, cool. Aaron's not doing pro this year, so we can have a bash at trying to win this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's funny because like after I did my last solo, and I was like, right, okay, so the next goal is like sub 60, and then they changed the rules or whatever, and then I was a bit fucking gutted. I was like, I'm not going to be fucking hell, I've just unlocked unbroken 100 wall balls. I'm not going to be doing that in the pro. And it was like, but actually now I'm actually kind of glad, because I'm like, it's pushed me to be like, to focus on strength and just having that little bit more. And I'm like, well, actually, it's going to make me stronger.
Yeah.
By having to have that extra strength. So I'm like, all good. But I am looking forward to, like, I'm doing a singles sim like in next month, but I've been training pro. So I'm like,
nice.
I'm looking forward to how that'll feel.
Yeah, you say that. You'll end up just be running faster and
running too fast and blow up.
It's two different sports, though, isn't it? And I quite like that, but it just needs to. I'm excited to see where it goes over the next few years. I imagine they've got some big plans.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking. Yeah, I was wondering if that actually did add another division, like almost like pro strict. Like you can't do kneel up burpees or something like that. I was wondering if there might be like a third one, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
What tell us about your YouTube channel. You've been doing it for about a year.
Yeah, so just started it about a year ago. So my missus has got like a triathlon YouTube channel, so she's a really good triathlete. And
congratulations on your engagement, by the way.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. And yeah, I see her doing it all the time, and I was like, do you know what? I do some cool stuff, because I try to race random bits as well. So like I've got Ironman next Sunday in Leeds. Still do a bit of triathlon, still do a bit of running, do the HYROX stuff. And I thought I'm going to set it up more so. It wasn't necessarily about building an audience. It was more so I can look back when I'm 60 and be like, that was pretty cool, actually. Or remember when I did like the HYROX Stockholm one of my first podiums, like, let me go watch that back, because it's giving me a bit more motivation to go back to the drawing board and train with it. But yeah, I think it's difficult. At the moment, we're in a world, aren't we, where everything seems like clickbaity, 10 seconds, you've got 3 seconds to grab someone's whatever attention. Me and you, as you can tell, are talkers. So I like to talk to people. And I think having a longer format really suits what I want to do, and provide people with a bit more detail and share a bit more of the highs and lows. It's not necessarily all about highs with it. It's definitely sharing some of the lows of training too, which is, I don't think you get necessarily on Instagram. I think it's difficult for people to do that, because you've got the swipe, like just literally like see, and you all of a sudden you go, what did I even watch before? Whereas I feel like YouTube, if someone subscribed to your channel, they're normally bought into you as a person as well, and they kind of, it's weird. Like you get people come up to you and like, Gaz, how you doing? How's Laura? How's Hank? And I'm like, what? I've never met you before, but I kind of know your story already, which is quite cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. What and how do you find, like, how do you find the process of creating the content? Like, do you enjoy it? Do you like? Because I was wondering, like, if you're going out to HYROX Worlds, and then you obviously got the kind of stress of the race coming up, and then you were documenting it all, and I was like, I wonder like how easy that is or difficult for him.
Yeah, I think once you get into a bit of a cycle, it's okay. I think it's
Mm,
fine. It's more so remembering to just pick up the camera and document little bits is probably it. When I was, yeah, when I was in Chicago, I kind of wanted to document Chicago a little bit as well.
yeah.
So it was nice. It was more so, it took my mind off the race a little bit because we were doing, like, we went to go watch the Cubs play baseball and stuff like that.
Mm,
So I was like, oh, cool, let's film that. And,
yeah.
just more so just like snapshotting. I'm not necessarily sat there with a big camera. It's more, I've just got my DJI, just like flying it around and just bits to remember from the trip, really. But yeah, it's I don't find it as stressful. Weirdly, like it's such a bigger job,
Yeah.
like filming and editing a YouTube. But I find it a lot less stressful than trying to get a reel about lower back pain down to
Mm,
10 seconds, and I'm
yeah.
like, I can't, like, I physically can't take another second out of this, but
Yeah.
I've got to remove bits, so it's just like bam, 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 and that stresses me out more than filming a YouTube.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally get it. It's like I've been wanting to explore like vlogging for a while, and like, I mean, 8 years ago, I did 11 months around the world, and I filmed every day, talking to
Yeah,
the camera. I literally film myself every day, like walking down the street. I'm in Chiang Mai, I'm near this or whatever, and I filmed all this content. I never did anything with it, and
mad.
it's like because the I know the editing process is just like. And to be fair, back then the Wi-Fi was so bad,
Oh, of course, yeah.
like getting anything done, uploading it and stuff, it was just a nightmare.
Mhm.
So, but it is something like what equipment are you using? Have you got like a DSLR? Are you doing an iPhone?
Just, yeah, iPhone and my DJI, mate.
Oh, okay. DJI.
You
What?
know the Osmo things?
No.
The little, like, it's like a little DJI camera, like Osmo. It's a only small thing, but
Okay.
they're really good. To be
Yeah.
fair,
It looks
a lot
like it looks good quality. So that's why I asked you. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the time, mate, I end up forgetting that I'm filming a YouTube because you're doing like a week in the life or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go, shit, I've not filmed since Tuesday. So you just
Okay.
end up grabbing your iPhone out and doing a little bit on your iPhone as well.
So you all right? So that's like your little B-roll bits,
Yeah,
and
literally.
then you'll do like the okay. Yeah, very cool.
Mate, your story sounds like you were making me think the one about traveling. Have you read the book called It's on the Meter?
No,
Have you never read that? So it's
no.
basically four guys. I'll just quickly grab it. It's here. It's a random one, but it's basically four guys who, when they're at uni, that's the one.
It's on the meter. Okay.
Um, they finished uni together, all four of them, and they were like, "I'm not ready to go into a normal job." So they bought a black cab in London and drove it to Sydney in Australia.
Wow.
But like literally like through Afghanistan, Iraq, like everywhere.
Oh,
And
mate, I love that.
it's such a good book because like each chapter's like 2 pages, 3 pages, but it sounds like what you were doing of like, I'm in Vietnam at the moment doing this. And they were just
Yeah.
literally a little bit of documentation of it. But mate, it's such a good random book. You'll enjoy that.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I've got like I do have a little bit of a like fantasy of like doing a big long journey do you ever watch Race Across the World?
Yeah.
I remember like the first one where was it London to Singapore, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was so good because he went all through like like bits of the Middle East and stuff, and like whatever fucking Eastern Europe, and I was like, that looks absolutely sick. Like one of my
Yeah.
things actually is like I would like to get a camper van, do it out, put a studio in the back, and then travel around and like do in person
Oh,
interviews.
so good. Yeah.
And then I need to get like a fucking rowing machine, a ski erg strapped on the top or something so I can keep up with my training.
Yeah. Off the back.
uh, right. All right, mate. We better wrap things up because we've been going over 2 hours. Thank you. Thank you ever so much for this. Before we close, I normally prep my guests with this, but I forgot. So sorry about
Right.
this.
Right.
If you could only do 5 habits for the rest of your life, What would they be and why?
Train once a day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
I would walk my dog every day. That's like my chill time. Just me
Yeah.
and the dogs just out. I really like that. Five.
What about like a business related one? So think of like a full picture.
All
You know,
right. Okay. Yeah.
so like you can only do 5 things a day to try and cover as many areas as possible.
Is this to grow my business as well?
Up to you. Grow it,
Yeah, I'm going
maintain
to say to
it.
grow my business. I would put out one. Not that I want to. I would put out one piece of content every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying. It's such a pain in the ass, but I always think of it of if I put that out, at least I'm not knocking on people's doors going, mate, do you want coaching? Do you know what I mean? It's
a good thing to remember that as well.
It is. It's back in the day, people were making 1,000 flyers and going to shopping centres and going, do you want to take this? Like, I'm happy that we don't have to do that. Like, that would be an hour of our day going, right, I have to go to the shopping centre and give out flyers. So I'd do a piece of content every day. I would catch up with anyone who I work with each day, which is something that I do anyway, because my whole ethos with Plug-In Rehab has been to only work with coaches that I genuinely get on with, which has changed my business massively. I think originally I'd started going with everyone, and I just had to have a moment of like, nope, I'm only going to work with coaches that I align with. So when I chat to them, it's almost chatting to my mates, which I quite like, and I like catching up. I'm a chatty person. So yeah, chat to them every day. And then I think having time and space with my partner and people that I love, I think having the ability and the habit to go, right, let's stop work now and let's have me and you time rather than just constantly, because it's the whole COVID thing's rolled into almost like just working 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Or you can at least work 24 hours a day because you're working at home. Like there's days where, start at 5 a.m. and don't finish till 10, 11 o'clock. And you're like, I've not even spoken to anyone else today. I need to go and do that. So I think having the awareness and understanding to like close the laptop down and just breathe.
Yeah, man. Like, to be fair, like one that I like try and do sometimes is just, I used to just have it down. Speak to someone in real life.
Yeah.
Just get that done. Because sometimes I'll just be like, behind my computer all day. And sometimes I go to the gym and there's maybe no one there that you really chat to. And you're like, I haven't fucking spoken to anyone all day. Or like, I haven't, this sounds weird, but I haven't touched another human being.
No.
And it's like, it's weird. We're not wired for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one.
I mean, even going to Tesco's, mate, and you're like, I'll go to self-serve.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I went in and I was like, I'm going to go to the checkpoint because that woman looked really like lonely, stood there. Everyone was just going to like the self-serve thing. I was like, I hope she probably just needs to speak to someone, and she probably wants to feel like she's actually doing something as well. So
yeah,
which is weird. Like the world is just so hands off at the moment, isn't it? And no one wants to speak to anyone.
Future plans, what have you got coming up?
Fizz-wise, I've got Ironman Leeds next Sunday, actually. First ever Ironman Leeds.
Okay.
So that, and then into a big... I've been in a triathlon block, so I feel really skinny and weak.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I just want to get this out of the way so I can actually do some strength training. But then next year, me and Joe Walker, who I went to World Champs with as doubles this year, I think we came 21st overall, which we were quite happy with. But we're going to try to get everyone keeps saying as close to Elite 15 as possible. We're not like saying I'm going to get Elite 15, but want to try to the process behind it and document it and see how close we can actually get. And
that's cool.
Yeah, go there, mate. I think hopefully, I'll see you in London and Stockholm and
cool
anywhere else. But yeah, I'm just excited to keep pushing everything, I think.
Yeah, that's class. All right, where should people find you if they want to check out more about what you do?
I'd probably go on Plug-In Rehab's Instagram. That tends to be where I hang out.
All right, cool. And I'll put all links in the show notes and the episode description and whatnot, so people can check it out there. And I would encourage them to do so. This has been great, mate. There's so much in here, by the way, that like I wanted to talk to you about. We didn't even really get into triathlon stuff or whatever. So we'll have to do another one in the future. But yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, mate. It was nice to like a coffee chat. I've loved it, mate. So yeah, thanks for having me on there. I really appreciate it.
Class. Thanks, mate. Have a good day.
And you, mate. Cheers.
Hey guys, it's me. Just a quick one before you get going. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to my guest and that 15% off you can get from Bear Bar. Go to bit.ly/bearjace for 15% off your first order. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.